All right. Okay. Here we go. All right. I don't know why I'm echoing so bad. Hold on. Okay. Try that. I don't know if anybody can hear me. Okay. I guess so. I guess people can hear me. Um, I know I don't have anybody on this stream, but I just thought I would have some fun, do something new. So, I have this song that I've been working with, and I just thought I'd have some fun with, and I just thought I'd go through it and see what I did to it in the first place. Um, I just found these stems online, so I just messed around, and yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys. So, um, first off, I'm working in Reaper. Um, hold on, my screen is all sorts of jacked up. I don't know what's going on. All right, what the heck? Why'd you do this? What's happened? Okay, now let's try that. I don't know how good that looks yet because I'm waiting for the stream to catch up. All right, so let's pull this up. Okay, I'll take that. All right, I have my buses into four different buses, and I have my sins into a separate folder that they go in just in case I wanted to turn it down. But in this case, I didn't turn it down at all. All right, so first I got my vocal bus, my melody bus, which is my guitars, uh, organs, stuff like that, piano, blah blah blah. Then I have my drum bus, which is all sorts of things, um, like my overheads, well, my bass drums, my kicks, my snares, so on and so on. And then I have my bass. All right. So first of all, we're gonna take a look at this bass. Um, well, first we're gonna, of course, listen to the project that I did. So this is what it sounds like. Okay, so that's basically what it sounds like. Um, all right, so what the bass line is like is like this. This is what it sounds like. Okay, so what I did here, first off, I'm gonna turn these effects off on the bus. But what I did basically is I put some distortion on it, and I gained it down to 29 dB, the hardness at 10, all the way up, and I turned down the level to -19. Then I have this plugin called Shep's Omni Channel. It's in mono since my bass is in mono, and I added some saturation, put it on the heavy setting. I got it at 61.3. I cut it off at 80 hertz with the 18, yeah. And, let's see, my EQ, I got that at 1491 hertz, and I got that at 6 dB. I got my mid at 801, and I got that at 7. And I got my tone at 351, and I got that at Unity because I didn't need it. And my low is at 100, and I got that at 1 dB. Alright, and then I have the compressor on, which is the VCA compressor on here. And I got it at -9 dBs on the threshold, 2.01 on, 2.1 on the ratio. And my attack and my release is the same as it came in the thing. And then I limited it at -3.5. Then we got this. Okay, now on my bus, I have, oops. I have multiple compressors on this bus. I have an EQ to, I kind of need to put that all the way at the end. There we go. All right, so I basically have I have an EQ to cut out some of the frequencies that I don't need. And then all I did was take this API compressor, put the threshold at 7.5, attack at 3, ratio at 4.1, release at 1, and I turned the tone knob down to normal, and I have the gain, the output gain at -1. I kind of need to, yeah. And I also have the analog switch on because for some reason that's what sounds best to me. Alright. And I also have, oops, wrong thing, a limiter to smash it. So I got it at -3 threshold and attack at 100, limit at -0.1, or yeah, -0.1, and that's basically it. And then you got this sound after all that. It just fattens it up and makes it real nice and thick. Makes it sound good. Alright, and then let's see, what is this? If I recall, this is just simple routing, which is basically sidechain compression. From the toms, it looks like. I don't know exactly as of this moment. That's okay. And then I think this is snare. Yeah, this is snare. This is the snare. Sidechain. And we have the kick. And I decided the vocal can use some sidechain just a little bit to poke it out just a little bit more in the mix. So all together, it should sound kind of smashed in a way, so it should sound like this. Yeah. Okay. Now my vocal bus sounds like this. Sounds like this in a full setting. Where's my vocal? Here it is. Behind my bars of waste, finally I can hear my breath as the silence loudly screams. Here's the harmony of dreams. All right, so what I did here is I have two vocals, a backing and a lead. I distorted both of them, but first I took an EQ, dynamic EQ at 500 basically, and gained it down to -2, and the threshold is at -13. Alright, and at 2200 I have a threshold of, oh, I guess I turned that off. I meant that to turn back on. No? What's the deal with that? Either way, I don't have that going apparently. And then my last Q is -1.8 dB, frequency at 6.0, well, 6K, -21K on the threshold, and yeah, that's what I got there. And I have the distortion plug in again, but this time I have it at 20 at regular gain on here, which is 20, hardness at 6, maximum volume -20, and yeah, you basically get that sound. And then I have a little bit of saturation on the heavy side. I have an 12 dB cut at 400. My EQ is 3,000 at 3,000, 7 on the gain, and at 11,000 have 3.9 on the gain on the Q, 400, 4.0 Q, 575, 3.0 gain. I keep saying Q, but I mean gain. Same difference. No, I'm kidding. No, it's not. But and then I have a threshold of -880 on the VCA compressor side, and 2.1 on the ratio, and a limiter that's hitting at -1. And that's basically the same thing on the background vocal, except I have an imager at the end, and the imager is widening it by 50. Wow, I did a lot of imaging on that. And the amount at 10. And then I have, let's see here. What do I have? An EQ again to cut out the frequencies that I don't need. I need to shove that at the end. An omni-channel, all I did here was DS at 5K, threshold at -18, and compressor at -14, a ratio at 3.5. Oh, come on. What are you doing? Alright, and attack and release normal. And then I have it at oh, I don't have the limiter on, I just have it at 0. Okay. And then I have the master limiter at the end of everything. That is a -3 threshold and a -0.01. And then I have the API compressor again, this time at 5.80, 3 attack, 2.1 ratio, and 1 release. And I got the output at -4.8 and a normal thrust, detector thrust. And yeah. And I have those all sent to the bass and the drums and the melody bus. Oh, and I forgot to mention to say, on my bass line, I do have a separate send for the bass. So all I did here was saturate it a little bit at 8 gain. Cut out the frequencies I don't need, 80. And I think I did 250. Yeah, 250. Alright. And then all I did was, oh, I just gained it up at 3 decibels. Alright. And then I turned it down just a little bit. And with my vocals, I have vocal reverb, which all it is a reverb, which is Tile Reverb 4. And for that, I have a low cut at 650, a high cut at 6,000 or 6K, and I have the dry all the way down, the wet all the way up, delay at 1500, and the size at 69. The rate, amount, and the diffuse is all the same as it was stock. Alright, so now we got the melody bus. Oh, what happened here? What's going on? There we go. Now here comes the fun. Alright, so all I did basically is gain everything down, sidechain the parts that I need to, like the lead solo in this song, sidechaining to some of the elements in here. That was easy. And yeah, that's basically it because the guitars didn't really need much processing. Let's see here. What do I have? I have on my saxophones, both of them are the same, so I just duplicated the plugin. 59.6 or 60 saturation at the heavy side with the 18 dB cut. Not 18 dB, 18 dB cut at 213, and an EQ which is at 8.5 at 45, 4.3 at 15, 4.0 at 350, 4.9 at 238, and I have the compressor going, but this time I have it at the optical compressor, excuse me, and a threshold at 17.65, ratio of 2.1, attack 3, release 200, and limit at -1. Alright, and same with the other saxophone track that I got here. And then I have the organ. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. The organ is at the organ is on the heavy side on the saturation again at 60 dB on the saturation. 18 dB cut at 297. And then I have, oh, it looks like I put the gate on it for no reason. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. The EQ on my highs is 18.8 at 8 dB. -2.1 at 1100. 4.0 at 350. 2.0 at 308. And then you have a ratio on my compressor, the regular compressor, VCA compressor, at -14.9 at 2.1 ratio, 3 attack, 200 release, and then I have -1.1 on that one on the limiter. And then I have on my bus the EQ strokes that I don't need. Well, that I don't. The EQ curves, well, the EQ cuts that I need. All of the sidechain compressing, and then I have a melody bus, and that is an API 2500 again at 5.19 on the thresh, 1 attack, 3.1 ratio, -2 release. I have the analog on again. On the tone side of things, we got the detector thrust at a normal rate and a -4 output. Alright, so now we're going to look at the drums. Drums sound like this. Okay, I did a lot of stuff here. I got a room reverb. I got the room here, the snare, the kick, the cymbals, and the toms. I processed them individually except for the cymbals, the snare, and the toms. No, the toms I did. But yeah. It's just basically the same thing. Saturation at 57 on the room. And then you have 100 cut out at 18 dB. I have the EQ at 9.0 on the highs at 8,000 or 8K. 4.0 at 11K. 5.0 at 300. -3 at 170. Alright, and then I don't have a compressor on this one because I felt like it didn't need a compressor, and I have a -1 limiter on it. And it sounds like this without it, with it. Alright, now my snare, I have a snare up, snare bottom. Sounds like this. Snare bottom. Snare top. Okay. All I did was turn down the bottom. And here I got saturation on the heavy side again. 60 dB. 105, 18 cut. I have a gate on that one. The floor is -50. Closes -0.6. Attack is at 0.1. And release at 346. And my EQ on the highs is 3000 or 12.0 at 3000. 5.0 at 1200, and my tone knob at 4.0 at 358, and my low on 4.0 167. And then on here I got the effect compressor on, and I have the negative 18 threshold, 2.1 ratio, excuse me, and a 3.0 attack, and 200 release, and negative 1.1 limit. Yeah, that's my snare. And my kick, I have no saturation, surprisingly. Usually I do. I cut it at 60 dB with an 18 cut, and I have the expander gate on. And I have the threshold at negative 31.6, floor at negative 47, the close at negative 13, the attack at 0.1, and a release at 100. My EQ is at 12.1, 2K, 10.0 at 1800. Oops. I'll type that back in. And then my tone knob is at 4.1, 500, 3.0, 3.0 at 499. And I have the optical compressor to give it a little bit of hit. Again, and I have that at negative 21, ratio 2.1. Attack at 0.40, and release at 150.6, and a limit on negative 0.9. And yeah, that's that. And then on my cymbals, I have an EQ that I cut and boosted for the highs and the lows. These three compressors are side chaining as well. I have Preon at 611, 12 dB cut. Have the expander gate on again, negative 42.5, threshold at negative 60, close at negative 27, attack at 0.1, 717 on the release, and I have a de-esser on. Look at there. All right, so I got that at pretty much at 5,000 at 5K, threshold at negative 17. It looks like this one isn't on. Yeah, this one isn't on. The EQ, my highs are at negative, or no, not negative, 9.1 at 8K, 5 at 1800. I have no tone. That's at Unity, and that's at 351. And my low is negative 3 at 92. And now with this one, I chose the effect compressor because I felt like it was the best one for me. And threshold at negative 33, ratio at 2.1, attack at 3, release at 200. Then I have a limit of negative 1. Okay. And that was my cymbals. And then I have, on my toms, I have a cut at 100. And what is this? I don't know why I have this. That's okay. I have a random compressor there for no reason. That's okay. It'll be alright. All I did on the toms was heavy section of saturation again. 60 dB. Negative 18 cut at 100. I have the expander on at negative 44. Floor at, well, negative 24. Negative 18 on the close. Attack at 1,000. Release at 20. And on my EQ, I have 10.1 at 20K basically. 5.0 at 990. My tone knob is 6.1 at 351. And my low is 3 at 92, and I chose the optical compressor because it gave it a little bit more punch. Threshold at negative 20, ratio 3.5, tack 3, release 200, and my limit is negative 1. And yeah, that's it on those. I also have I have everything sent to a separate reverb on every drum track, and each one is differently EQ'd. And I also have utility options. Well, I have a utility on some of them to gain them down, and also I have an imager to image them properly to fit them right in the mix. Uh, I also, on my snare, have this. Which is apparently an EQ that I didn't use. I have a compressor that's compressing the crap out of it, and a saturator at 3.0. And with the snare, it sounds like this. And without the snare, without the destroyed snare sound, it sounds like this. It just gives it a little bit of a boost. It gives it more attack. Alright. Now, what I did to master this thing was a whole different thing, too. I usually like mastering inside of the same session, but that's personally. I also sometimes do it outside of the session, but this is what I got. I got a -3 on the volume, or no, -5 on the volume. I'm sorry. I have a compressor at -4 threshold. My attack is all the way down to 0. My ratio is 2.0. My release is all the way up, so I could get that. I could get the transient. Alright, and then I have a saturator, which takes out the high end. Here, this is what it sounds like without it. Very high end. Got a lot of high end in it that, excuse me, that needed to be toned down. So I put the saturator here and that toned it down. Alright, and I also have the gain on the harmonics at 2. I have input at -2 and an output at -4 with 100% wet. And then I got this plugin called Isotope Elements. I have the EQ set to mid-side. I have a brick wall at 55 and a brick wall at 20K on each side and mids. I have a bell curve at -1 at 500 with a 1Q. I have another bell curve at 81 with at 2 dB with 1Q. I have one at 2K with 1 dB and 1Q. And then I have a high shelf up here at 8K with 2 dB and 1Q. And that's my mids. And this is my sides. My sides is at 100, which is brick wall. And then 20K is brick wall. And then I have at 500 a -2 dB cut at 1Q. And I have a high shelf at 8K, 2Q, 2 dBs, 1Q. And then I have the mastering limiter or maximizer is what you want to call it, actually. and I have it on the best setting as possible, which is the IRC2, and I have that at amount. I have the transient emphasis at 50%, the ceiling at negative 0.8, the threshold at -5, and it sounds like this. And I'm also hitting 11.2 on the left scale. But now, later on in the mix, I think it goes higher up in the left scale. But that's basically it. That's basically this whole mix. And the character is at 2.0. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool to do something different for a change. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and have a great day.